Subscribe to my sister's channel. She will also voice her favorite plots. Let's give her a big asset. Evening. A blonde girl runs along a winding street. She looked like she could have been 6 years old. She had blonde hair that was tied in 2 mischievous ponytails, and her sky-blue eyes showed fear and horror. 3 drunk men chased her. The girl turned right, but unfortunately, there was a dead end. Numb with fear, Naruko turned back, hoping to escape, but her path was blocked. Meanwhile, one of them threw a bottle of sake with all his might. The blonde girl could not dodge, and the bottle hit her painfully in the temple, broke. Naruko felt a dull pain in her temple, and everything began to swim before her eyes. Drunken shinobi approached her, and began to beat her. Unexpectedly for her, the shinobi fell unconscious. Behind them stood a black-haired guy in an ANBU mask. Naruko squeezed her eyes shut, expecting a new blow, but she was gently picked up in her arms and, lulled by the warmth, fell asleep. Naruko was walking along a corridor that looked more like a sewer. A huge cage appeared before her eyes. "Hey, is anyone here?" The answer was 2 red eyes with vertical pupils. "Who are you?" The girl persisted, and came closer to the cage, clutching her little hands to the bars. "I am the 9-tailed demon fox," the fox replied with a growl, and his tails flew up madly. "Oh, do you have a name?" The girl asked. Kurama, will you be my friend?" Naruko exclaimed cheerfully, and smiled in all 32 teeth. POV Kurama, does she want to be friends with me? With her parents' killer? With the 9-tailed demon fox? Well, answer already, a little more, and I would have been deafened by her scream. I hesitated, and looked away. "Thank you." Without waiting for my answer, she exclaimed, and then, holding out her little hand to me, I was taken aback, but I handed her mine anyway. "The claw, the end of the POV Kurama, and where are we?" Looking around, the girl asked. "In your subconscious," no Yoko replied, and was about to take a nap. "What are you doing here?" "You are my Jinchuriki," Kurama yawned, and stretched out all over the cage, closed his eyes. "Now come back to reality, and don't you dare come back here." Uzumaki disappeared from her subconscious. Images of the beating were spinning in her head. So that's why, and she sadly lowered her eyes. She woke up at home because she felt that someone was lying on her feet. Somehow opening her eyes, Naruko saw the same ANBU who saved her. Now he was peacefully snuffling on her feet. Since he was wearing a mask, Uzumaki could not see his face. At that moment, the wind blew out of the open window, causing the girl to shudder. Because of this, the guy woke up, and he was about to leave, but Naruko grabbed his hand, thereby showing that she was not going to let him go. Naruko's POV: he stared at me in surprise when I grabbed his hand, and also pulled him down, causing the guy to fall right on the chair, and looked at me with displeasure. "Who are you?" I asked curiously, and leaned towards him. He took off his mask, and carefully put it on the bedside table, and then answered. "My name is Uchiha Itachi," he smiled amiably. "How do you know me?" "I recently joined the ANBU, and I was ordered to keep an eye on you. Would you like some tea? Is there a sweet?" "Of course," I grinned, and jumped off the bed, and then headed towards the kitchen. Itachi followed me. The end of Naruko's POV. The next day, at the Hokage residence. "You'll feel better yourself, you'll be under my personal supervision," the Hokage thoughtfully drawled, and, staring at a stack of paper, continued, "Come tomorrow at 8 o'clock, you will be given clothes and weapons." "Hi," Naruko replied, and immediately ran out of the room. The next day at the 3rd Hokage, "You yourself will be better. You will be under my personal supervision," said the 3rd Hokage. "Okay," agreed Naruko. "Come tomorrow at 8 o'clock, you will be given clothes and weapons." "Hi." And she left the residence. All the way home, Naruko thought about ANBU. That's where she will go tomorrow, As soon as Goldilocks came home, she plopped down on the bed. Naruko was thinking about yesterday's conversation with the demon. Naruko's POVM, the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed. Because of this, everyone hates me. But why didn't Kurama let me tell him anything? He said that you just need to think about him to appear there. Okay, we need to focus. And I'm walking down this corridor again, and again two blood-red eyes with vertical pupils are looking at me from the cage. The end of Naruko's POV. Hi, said Jinchuriki, and why are you so sad? POV Kurama, she considers me her friend, everyone hates her because of me, I killed her parents. And yes, the demon is crying, isn't it funny? I have to tell her everything, but she'll hate me and I need her company so much. Kurama thought, listen, I have to tell you something. I began. She lay down on my tail and nodded to me, showing that she was listening attentively. We didn't talk last time, so you asked me how I ended up in your subconscious. Your father sealed me. But she interrupted me. What? Do you know my parents? It seemed that her eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Yes. Your father is Namikaze Minato, for Hokage, mother is Uzumaki Kushinaheim of the Uzumaki clan, master of seals. Wow, I have such cool parents, she admired. So, 6 years ago I was controlled by Uchiha Madara with the help of Sharingan, and I destroyed the village. Your parents sealed me into you at the cost of their lives. You hate me now, don't you? With a bit of hope he asked. She was silent. Her eyes were full of tears, but she wiped them with her sleeve and smiled. So it's fate, I don't hate you. You didn't mean to, you're my friend, she said. I was so glad, and I didn't want freedom anymore, I just needed communication, I thought. The end of the POV Kurama. Tomorrow you have to get up early, go to bed, I'll wake you up, he said, and Naruko disappeared from under the subconscious into the realm of Morpheus. The next day. Get up, Naruko. Get up to whom I say. If you're late, it's not my fault. Kurama insistently woke up his Jinchuriki. Now. It's already 7:30. Why didn't you wake me up? Naruko wailed sleepily. She rushed into the shower, combed her hair with a pigtail, got dressed and went to the ANBU building. She was given a short katana, ordinary ANBU clothes, a bag with kunai and shuriken, and a fox mask, which suited her very well. First of all, they tested her basic skills, throwing kunai, cloning, melee combat, the ability to hide, harass enemies, etc. Thanks to Kurama and his training, she quickly mastered everything. Her first mission was to follow Danzo and prevent him from destroying the Uchiha clan. She was following him. Her partner was Itachi and Kakashi Hatake. They split up. Naruko herself went to the main Uchi building. Danzo fought with the head of the clan, Fugaku. Then he threw a large katana at Mikoto. Fugaku was too far away to help her, and she herself would not be able to deviate. But the girl in the fox mask deflected a blow at Danzo himself in time. He was not ready and the katana hit him right in the side. The offender hissed angrily. But Naruko did not wait. She used the technique of the thunder god. Kurama taught her this, and by creating a Rasengan, she neutralized the enemy by putting Uzumaki in the barrier. Itachi and Kakashi arrived and took him to his destination. Naruko had no chakra left at all and she could not stand on her feet. She was deftly picked up by a boy of her own age. She woke up in some room on the bed. Goldilocks tried to get up, but her body hurt terribly and she fell back. She began to slowly raise herself on her elbows. Then she somehow left the room and began to descend the stairs. The same boy took her by the hand and helped her. They went into a large bright room, and a woman of about 30 years old immediately ran up to her. Hi, I'm Mikoto, thank you for saving us, we owe you. And who are you? Naruko took off her mask and everyone saw her beautiful face, big sky blue eyes, upturned nose, plump lips and 6 symmetrical stripes on the cheeks. I'm Naruko Uzumaki. Then are you the daughter of Kushina and Minato? Mikoto was surprised. Yes, we were close friends with her. Well, okay, you get acquainted for now, and I'll go put tea on. The woman smiled sweetly and Naruko could not object. Jinchuriki looked at that boy and smiled at him. She held out her hand to him. Naruko, she introduced herself. Sasuke, from something blushing and looking at her smile, he answered they were chatting merrily about something, but it was time to say goodbye. I hope we'll meet again, he said sadly. Bye, Naruko said cheerfully and disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Bye, into the void he whispered. They haven't seen each other since, 3 years have passed. Sasuke wanted to find Naruko, but she seemed to have disappeared. He had a strange feeling, remembering her image, he could not hold back the smile that he hid from everyone. In addition to his relatives behind the mask, he is now 9 years old, and as you all know, at this age children go to the academy. He didn't want to go there, Itachi trains him anyway, and Sasuke has the basic knowledge. But is necessary to become a genin. And Naruko also served in the ANBU. Of course she was tired of it. She returned home in the morning. She could be kaede at any time of the day. One day she had a dream in which Naruko saw a family. She saw the red hair of a woman, though vaguely, but she saw them. A man with yellow hair and a white raincoat was standing next to her. They stood with their backs to Naruko. She wanted to run to them and hug them, but woke up. Now she is lying in bed as usual. She has a day off. Kurama probably knows. Exactly the same, he told me something flashed through her head, and she instantly found herself in her subconscious. There she was met with a smirk and an interested look of red eyes. Kurama. You know, I had such a dream, I've never felt so good. Tears came to her eyes. I'm so sad, I'll never have my own people, she whispered faintly, but Kurama heard her anyway. Suddenly, Naruko was hugged by someone, and tears rolled down her neck. But the tears weren't hers. Naruko raised her head and saw her. It was the same woman. She was crying with Naruko. She had red ankle-length hair with a purple clip, large gray-blue eyes, an oval face. She was dressed in a white shirt without sleeves, and in a dark green sundress. She was very beautiful. Then Kurama coughed hollowly, drawing attention to himself. It's your mom, he said softly. Naruko snuggled up to Kushina and whispered softly, Mom, yes, dear. The red-haired girl smiled weakly, and taking Naruko by the chin turned her face towards herself. How beautiful you are, dash. Well, tell me, how are you doing? And Naruko told her everything. What? Red hair began to move cautiously. Do you live in a one-room apartment? Don't you have any money? Well, hang on, Hiruzen. I'll kill you. Kushina growled menacingly. Poor girl, not only does she live in poverty, she also serves in the ANBU. She lied, Kushina. A pleasant voice called out. Mom and daughter turned around. A man of about 25 stood in front of them. He had yellow hair and an a la hedgehog hairstyle, a blue jacket with sleeves, trousers and shinobi sandals, and last of all he was wearing a white raincoat with red hieroglyphs on the back. Minato. Kushina threw herself on his neck. Dad? Naruko asked in bewilderment. He nodded, and Goldilocks' eyes filled with tears of happiness. She ran to hug. How good it is when you have a family, Naruko said quietly, but how to make it so that did you stay? You know how to get into your subconscious, so concentrate the chakra and focus on us, he said calmly. Naruko, it's time for us, if you need us, then you know what to do, and by the way, leave the ANBU and enroll in Shinobi Academy, and after kissing the girl on the forehead, they disappeared. Naruko, I have to tell you something, Kurama said. In general, you have a brother, huh? Yes, how do you know? Naruko, I have to tell you something, Kurama said. In general, you have a brother, huh? Yes, how do you know? She was surprised. Let me tell you everything in order, okay? Yes, 9 years ago, as you know, I attacked Konoha, and Madara controlled me. Kushina gave birth not to you alone, but to twins, you and your brother Naruto. Everyone thought he was dead, but he's alive. How do you know? Because you were too small to withstand my chakra, and it was divided, half for you, half for your brother. Naruto was adopted by the poor, but a week ago they were attacked, only he survived. Since my half is sealed in him, I found out that he is on the verge of death. So leave your clone here and go. Now he is in a small village in the land of waves, Kurama, since my so-called brother has your chakra and he won't die. I'll follow my mom's advice. Yes, you're right, okay, bye. The next day at the Hokage, old man, I'm leaving ANBU, Naruko began. Why? Hiruzen asked. I am tired, I want a normal life, my hands are already up to the elbow in blood while I'm not 9 yet, don't you think about my psyche? And again, give me all my inheritance from my parents, but I don't know who they are and, he was interrupted, the old man. Don't bullshit me. You know perfectly well who they are, okay, you got it. Go to the nearest bank, they know what to do. After sealing a huge pile of money in a scroll on her wrist, she left. The next day at the Shinobi Academy, a middle-aged man with a pineapple hairstyle loudly announced to the class, "So, class, you have a new girl today." At that moment, a girl of about 10 years old came into the classroom. She had long bright yellow hair braided in a thick braid, bangs fell over one eye, but not like Ino, the usual long side bangs, big blue eyes, a black jacket with an elbow-length sleeve, black tight trousers, shinobi sandals and black gloves with a cutout on the half of the fingers. Naruko Uzumaki. She introduced herself and went to the last desk. Irika was shocked to say the least. That naughty little girl in an orange suit turned into a serious girl in black clothes. Sasuke was also shocked. People certainly change in 4 years, but not Samak, of course. He didn't change his expression, but a hurricane was raging inside. The day of distribution by teams came. Naruko managed to make enemies for herself, Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. On the first day, they declared her their rival. By the way, Naruko's character is not the same as her appearance. She Levesto bully, this is her weakness. Team number 7 Uzumaki Naruko, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, teacher Hatake Kakashi. All the teams dispersed. Only the 7th remained in the class. Sasuke was sitting at his desk with a face, "Allah, I'm a brick." Sakura tried in every possible way to invite him on a date. It was boring. Naruko, since she is the main minx, she decided to take revenge on her senpai. I remind you, in ANBU Naruko, Itachi and Kakashi were teammates. She took a dusty sponge and put it on the door so that if anyone opened it, it would fall on his head. Then she began to soap the threshold, opened the window to the tree that stood there. She put up a wind cage, hung invisible nets so that Kakashi fell right into her cage, and smiling maliciously, she sat down near the door. The door opens and a sponge falls on the gray top of his head. He takes a step forward and slips, getting a kick from Naruko. He flies into a wind cage, but from there cold water with pieces of ice pours on him from a bucket. Narukoku Sensei yelled at the whole Konoha. Even Sasuke couldn't stand it here and laughed, bending in half. Naruko was on the floor at all. I cried and choked with laughter. Kakashi barely got out, looked at the laughing genins and shouted, "Naruko, if I had known that you would be here, would never have agreed to be a captain." Horror, aha, you'll know, ahaha, how to be late. Alright, let's go to the roof, he growled and disappeared in a puff of smoke. On the roof, let's get acquainted, suggested Kakashi sensei. You're the first. Naruko said. Hatake Kakashi, what I love does not concern you, what I do not love -2. My dream is that you won't be interested. Now you, Haruno Sakura. What do I love? What do I like? What am I dreaming about? She kept looking at Sasuke, blushing and screaming. And I don't like Naruko, Sasuke Uchiha. I like to train and someone else. And a lot of things I don't like. I looked at Sakura, Naruko Uzumaki. I like to train, play shogi with Shika and Sasuke and look at the clouds with Shika. The dream is to find someone, and then, no matter how it sounds, to revive your clan. Okay, now let's go home, come to the same training ground tomorrow at 7 o'clock and preferably don't have breakfast. And Kakashi disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Sasuke-kun, let's have lunch together. Sakura asked. No, he snapped, but, Sakura started, but Sasuke went in the same direction with Naruko, and Sakura wandered home in despair. Now 3 genins are sitting at the training ground and waiting for their Nido-sensei. I think we need to develop a plan. Naruko's voice was heard like a thunderbolt from the clear sky. Phi. Listen to you? I only listen to Sasuke-kun. Sakura shouted. I agree, Sasuke replied, ignoring Sakura's scream. Sakura felt a pang of jealousy, as if her Sasuke-kun was listening to this Naruko. Then listen up. The guys gathered in a circle. Sakura didn't listen to her at all because she was watching Sasuke. 1 hour later, with a loud bang, Kakashi-sensei appeared at the training ground. Ignoring the killing aura of his students, as if nothing had happened, he pulled out an alarm clock, taken from nowhere, put it on a pole, and turned to the genins that he took 2 bells from his hip bag, hung them on his belt and said, "You must take these bells away from me by any means," he began, "but there are only 2 of them." Sakura shouted, to which Sasuke and Naruko made a hand-face gesture. Exactly, one of you will get back to the academy and, but he was brazenly interrupted by one yellow-haired person. Senpai, how much is possible? Okay, let's get started. After that, all the children instantly disappeared. Hatake wanted to read the new issue of Jiraiya-sensei's non-children's books. He was distracted from his thoughts by a shuriken that hit him in the leg. Sensei did not have time to jump on the branch, as Naruko's clones with Razengans and kunai rushed at him. As expected, he jumped into the bushes where traps from Uchiha were waiting for him. Kakashi ran away from these unfortunate bushes. Hiding behind a tree, he began to treat his shallow wound. Naruko and Sasuke rushed at him head-on. Here are the fools, rushed into the frontal. About such thoughts were spinning in his head. Sensei, do you know what happened to the main character in the book Ika? Naruko began to speak. Kakashi covered his ears with his hands but forgot that he could read lips. He had no choice but to close his eyes. He felt light in that place, where the bells hung recently. Opening his eyes, he saw Haruno smiling with those bells, grinning Uchiha and Uzumaki, who are currently giving each other a high five. All right. You passed, Kakashi said, not without pride, but I think I need to change something. And what? Yes, Uzumaki's impatience makes itself felt. I think we need to separate you. So, I train Sakura, and I leave Sasuke to Naruko. Hi, to you, Uchiha and Uzumaki shouted in unison, after which they looked at each other and laughed, ignoring Sakura, who was red with jealousy. We're going the same way, aren't we? Sasuke asked Naruko with a barely noticeable blush. Yes, let's go. By Sakura, senpai. Naruko shouted, blushing mutually, not knowing from what Naruko and Sasuke were walking along the main street. The weather was just great. They were having fun talking about something and laughing loudly. Naruko. Was she surprised that Sasuke takes off his mask only in front of her, or is it just a coincidence? And Sasuke, in turn, marveled at her character. Everyone who was once in the ANBU, there is an expressionless face, a strict, cold character, a sense of humor is dulled, people become strange, even the appearance is plain. And Naruko's is the opposite. Bright, independent, a little hot-tempered, hooligans with might and main, even looks, long hair the color of the sun with reddening tips, big blue eyes with mischievous sparkles, bright clothes, constantly laughing. At first glance, she may seem weak, but even her friendly blows are sometimes even sick. Listen, are you tired? Naruko suddenly asked. Not a drop. Why? Asked Sasuke. Can we go to train at a nearby training ground? She nodded towards the woods. With pleasure, they headed towards the landfill. When they got there, she asked, so, Sasu, where do we start? Let's start with throwing kunai. Come on, you first. He silently stood in a stance, took aim and threw kunai. I knew you weren't a weakling. 10 out of 10. She exclaimed joyfully. Can you walk on trees? I tried. For some reason Sasuke couldn't lie to her. Well, then you're lucky. You've come to the right place, she advertised herself. They came to the tree. Look, she put her foot on the trunk, then the other, and with an unperturbed look walked to the top. Sasuke also concentrated the chakra in his feet and put his foot on the trunk, and the second, he walked 10 steps, but the bark cracked under him and he had to jump off. You're concentrating too much chakra. Put your hand on a tree, don't think about anything, concentrate the chakra in your legs, be calm, even though you're a brick. She giggled softly. Sasuke at that time followed the instructions of his new sensei. He took a step, then another and another. He did it. He was standing at the top of a tree now. Hey. And what am I? Naruko instantly climbed a nearby tree and now they were on an equal footing. Naruko and Sasuke were smiling broadly at each other. Goldilocks jumped down from the tree and shouted, "Hey, black-eyed, will you stand like this for a long time?" I'm coming, blue-eyed," he said the last in a lower voice, but Naruko heard him and grinned. "My eyes are not only blue, what do you mean?" Sasuke stared into her eyes. Look, her eyes lit up red, it would seem bloody. What? But how? Sasuke was clearly in shock, her eyes were blue and then bam. Red. At first he even thought it was a Sharingan, but there were no tomos, commas around the pupil. Naruko thought that the black-haired man's eyes would fall out of their sockets if she didn't start explaining, so, let's do everything in order. You know there's a nine-tailed one sealed in me, right? And after waiting for a nod, she continued, these are his eyes, and by the way, thanks to them, I feel the location of a person, even if his chakra is well hidden. And thanks to kurama, my sensory abilities open up, so to speak, hearing, smell, and of course vision. In short, it's easier to show than to say. Naruko adjusted the chakra and her nails became longer and clearly sharper, fangs appeared, 2 fluffy fox ears stood on top of her head, and a fluffy bright orange tail developed from behind. The stripes on her cheeks became darker, which made her look even more like a fox. Sasuke looked at the whole process as if fascinated. His partner is half a fox. Hey, Sasuke, can you hear me? Ow. Jinchuriki tried to reach the student. He looked into her eyes, but did not answer. Oh. I'm awake. Naruko took her usual form, while Sasuke sighed in disappointment. Okay, go home, your parents are probably waiting for you. She somehow smiled sadly, but tomorrow at 9 come to the exit of the village, and tell Sakura. Here she sneered like that, quite like a fox, but, Sasuke began, but he was interrupted. Kakashi-senpai won't be late, I'll try. Now her smile did not bode well. Well, he did not defend his rights, knowing that with the attack of the instinct of umami in Naruko, you simply cannot argue, and you, I need to talk to Hokage about something. She smiled. Bye, Sasuke, bye, Naru. Goldilocks left with a clap, and Sasuke wandered to Sakura. Meanwhile, the Hokage the door opened with a bang, and Naruko followed into the office. Yo, old man, I'm actually a Hokage. Pfft. What's the difference? By the way, I came to talk. And with a look Allah, I am the proudest person, sat down on a chair opposite the Hokage. And about what? The third guessed what she was talking about, but hoped for another topic. About my brother. She clearly and angrily highlighted the last word. What? What brother? A face Allah, and I don't understand anything. My twin brother, with whom you and the elders separated us from him. With each word she raised her voice and slowly got up from her chair. My brother, about whom I knew nothing, the brother who is now in the land of waves. Old man, you lied to me. Every word you say is a lie. Now Naruko was hanging over the Hokage, who was trying to merge with the chair. Her hair was divided into 9 thick parts and threateningly developed. There was a furious smile on her face, which did not bode well. After 15 minutes in the office of the Hokage, Naruko was sitting at the table. A third was sitting opposite her, with a decent flashlight under his eye and with a dislocated arm. Naruko clasped her hands in a lock and began to speak in a threatening tone. So, team number 7 leaves tomorrow for the land of waves, together with the builder Tazuna. And we're taking Naruto, except for Kakashi-senpai. No one should know about this, okay? But you're still geniuses, Hiruzen groaned, but quickly corrected himself when he saw Naruko's look, that is, except for you, but Sakura and Sasuke, they didn't let him finish. Sasuke is not a weakling, in which case he will defend himself. I and Kakashi-senpai is a pretty strong squad, and I'll take care of Sakura, okay, you got it. Sarutobi gave up. Then it's decided. They are already aware of the mission, tomorrow at 9 at the exit, and with a clap she left ANBU Sasuke. Damn Naruko sent me to Sakura, this Velcro got me. And here is her house. Come on, Sasuke, Rag, pull yourself together, you're not going to die. Probably. It was with these thoughts that I knocked on the door. A woman with blonde hair and a strange hairstyle opened the door for me. I had a chance to dodge the conversation with Sakura, saying all her ma. The flow of my thoughts was stopped by a girly squeal behind the woman. Wait, girly? Sakura cheered. Okay. You're probably Sakura's teammate, right? The woman asked. Ugh, what kind of voice she has. Yes. Then someone grabbed me by the hand and led me into some room. Sakura, and it turned out to be her, closed the door. I looked around. Kami-sama. My eyes. Everything is pink here. I'm sick of this color alone, I need to finish it quickly. Sakura, Zavd, I was interrupted. Yes, Sasuke-kun? How she pisses me off. Sakura, tomorrow we go on a mission, at 9 o'clock to be near the post, I said in a cold tone, almost syllable by syllable. Do you understand? There was silence in response to me. Okay, let's try to act differently. We'll have to ask Hokage to put instead of Sakura Ino. I mumbled to myself, waiting for Sakura's reaction. I didn't have to wait long, and so after a couple of seconds she began to squeal. No. Not Ino. I understand everything, Sasuke-kun. She stopped abruptly, and continued quietly, maybe we can have tea together? No, 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 and no again. No tea. Especially with her. No, I said calmly without betraying internal tantrums. She let out a doomed breath, and I jumped out of the window without saying goodbye. NPOV Sasuke that I decided to skip dating, it's already hanging around everyone's neck. It's a beautiful day, the birds are singing, the sun is shining, Naruko and Sasuke is arguing. Stop. Naruko and Sasuke? Arguing? But let's look at this in more detail. No, what are you, sick? Ramen is 100, no, 1000 times tastier than your tomatoes. Naruko was actively waving her arms. Ramen is not even food. No, Sasuke had nothing against ramen, but to avenge the setup with Sakura is still needed. Calm down. Naruko, Sasuke, aren't you friends? Cyclops suddenly raised his voice. I'm talking about Kakashi. If anyone didn't understand, yesterday they were training, laughing, eating, and here they've been yelling at each other for half an hour. What? Me and him? Senpai, are you completely crazy, Databeo? No. Uzumaki pointedly turned away, although she tried to calm her excitement with arguments. What if she doesn't find her brother? And if he's already? No, he's alive, she'll find him, yes. I don't like this puddle, Kurama said. I know without you. Look. Suddenly Naruko jumped into a puddle, splashing water. From there, two shinobi dressed in a pile of iron got out, gasping and groaning. Realizing that they had been discovered, they tried to attack Tetsuna, who decided to remain silent and not show up on the way at all. Kakashi just stood there and watched as Sasuke threw Sakura away, which flew off with a loud squeal, and began to fight with the first one. And the look shifted to Naruko, who tied the second to a tree, and began to torture terribly. Well, Uzumaki knows how to do it. But Sakura? And what about Sakura? She was already up and shouting, Sasuke-kun is so strong. Bouncing at the same time. Tetsuna looked guiltily and with fear at the blonde, who was developing hair from anger at the very silent Iron Man. The bridge builder was afraid of the same torture on himself. Suddenly Uzumaki smiled, cut the artery of the renegade shinobi. Haruno fainted with thoughts, Sasuke-kun should go to me, not her. But she's so strong she couldn't finish the thought, having lost consciousness. No one paid any attention to her and Naruko with a terrible bald head came to Tazun. He swallowed. And she whispered, "You'd better tell me yourself, otherwise I'll figure it out, it will be worse." Poor Tazuna has already forgotten his name from Uzumaki in the pose, "Allah, I'm a monster, I'll kill everyone." Sasuke took the monster and Hatake took her place, and Tazuna started telling everything, and in the end he started flattering Kakashi, saying that life was cruel, etc. I will not describe their further campaign, I will get right to the point. Crawling out of the boat, the team of 7 plus Tadzin went to the village through a mini forest with a river, a very wide river. Suddenly Uzumaki screamed, "Lie down," and at that moment, a huge sword flew into the tree, on which some asshole, my T9, in bandages landed. On the upper branch stood a rather handsome young man who looked like a girl. And so, Zabuza, who turned out to be that man in bandages, jumped off the sword, approached Kakashi and he shook Tom's hand. Haku also jumped off, and Naruko immediately hung on to him. Aku. Tormenting the poor guy, she asked, "Where is he?" "Did you find him?" "Yes, he's in that house in the woods," he replied. Naruko hung back from him and went to Momochi, who was chatting peacefully with Hatake. "Hello, mummy." Giving him a friendly slap on the back, from which he felt the taste of his spleen, and also asked, "How are you?" Cough cough. "It's fine." "How is she?" "So, I will describe the situation." Sasuke froze with a kunai in his hand, with a face, "Allah what for?" Tazuna behind the bushes, also froze, and Sakura, and she has not yet woken up from the last battle, well, and, to be continued, Databayo, POV Naruko. So, we were found, Zabuza and Haku. My brother is fine, according to Haku. Tadzuna is not in danger yet. But it seems to me that I forgot something. That's just what? Oh, right. Sasuke. I look in his direction, he froze, Alazar in shock. I approach him, shake him by the shoulders. Oh, I woke up. He looks at me strangely. I look around, there's a senpai and a mummy man chatting under a tree, there's a boy pulling a Tazuna that hid in the bushes. There's Sakura lying around. We need to do something about it. Creating a clone. Get her in there. I say, and nod at Kakashi. And what am I doing right away? My clone was confused. You see, I'm lazy, I'm talking to myself, yeah, exactly throwing Haruno straight into Kakashi. The clone has dissolved. You should have seen Kakashi's face, horror, you can die laughing. And if there wasn't even a mask. Well, I won't waste time, we need to find him. And POV Naruko. Uzumaki approached Haku, who took pity on Sakura's carcass, and decided to drag her under a tree. After waiting for him to sit down, Naruko sat down with him and asked, and Naruto, how is he? She really wanted to get to him faster, she felt that her brother was lying here somewhere. Native. The only relative. He's fine, Yuki said. He smiled, you'll see him soon, I can't wait. Suddenly she jumped up, hair to chatter, babblers, you will have time yet. Everyone stood at attention by inertia. So, senpai, take Sakura, Sasuke, you and Haku with me, Zabuza, with Kakashi and Tazunoi to you, we'll catch up. Mummy, don't scare anyone there. Haku, lead on, and he had no choice but to sigh and wander towards his house. Yes, they have a house there, I'm a drug addict, I'll think of a lot. Uchiha followed Naruko, asking questions such as, why did they take me, and, who is she looking for? They went deep into the forest. Behind the light fog, the silhouette of the house began to be outlined. There was a light on in one window, which meant that someone was there. The blonde's hands began to shake, about which she clung to Uchiha, who didn't understand a damn thing. Is she going to be executed or something? Haku took the key out of his sleeve. Sleeves? Uchiha and Uzumaki had a thought. Yes, he's a wizard, ept. They entered the house. Sasuke's arm was falling off. Nifuga Naruko has a grip. A blue door was located to the right of the corridor. They stopped near her. Haku opened the door. The blonde came in first. Without letting go of Sasuke. There was a narrow closet in the room, a large window covered with a light fabric that served as a curtain. An unreliable white, cracked and yellowed ceiling in places. However, the walls were the same. There was a bed by the window, on which he was lying. Naruko's povey didn't think we were so similar. This is my copy. It's really a boy. I found him. Yes. I'm taking it. Ototo. Yeah. I like. How do I wake him up, Yuki? Can I wake him up? Of course. He replied, well, brother, now you will see your Eni-san, and POV Naruko Sasuke already. The 20th time I was in full ahu, ahem, in shock. How? A copy of Naruko of the opposite sex. Naruko walked over to the bed and patted Naruto's hair. He slowly began to open his eyes. Blinking, he focused his gaze on Uzumaki and squinted Naruko. He jumped up and hugged her. Let them know nothing at all, let them just see each other, they are brother and sister, who are now no ANBU and roots will not separate, on the bridge day. The sun beat down mercilessly. Bridge builders worked on the bridge. Well, how they worked, fanning themselves and each other with rags and t-shirts. A little further away sat the guards, that is, team number 7 together with Naruto. So, the newcomer was standing in orange shorts without a t-shirt, however, he was fanning himself with it. Sasuke was sitting in shorts and a blue t-shirt and the Uchiha emblem. Well, what about without it? Unlike Naruto, who was pacing the unfinished bridge and freaking out, the brunette was sitting quietly, but that's just for now. Sakura admired Sasuke, so she didn't pay attention to the heat, even though her dress was already wet. Naruko was sitting in a plaid t-shirt and black shorts, a kunai purse was attached to her right hip, her hair was tied up in a bun. Their sensei was standing and reading a book, he didn't even break a sweat, which was quite strange. Naruko suddenly jumped up. She took off her t-shirt, remaining in a training top. Sakura choked on air, blushed, either from anger, or from the heat, no one understood. Naruto grinned strangely. And Sasuke choked on saliva, barely blushed, and turned away. Everyone blamed Sasuke's blush on the heat. Except for Kakashi, of course. He's watching everything, heh. He did not pay attention to the blonde, she has such a habit. And Naruko, what about her? I took some fruit ice out of the basket and started eating. Stop. Fruit ice? A basket? A second later there was nothing there, in the basket. It would seem that nothing could spoil this moment, but, you bastards. If I kill, I'll slaughter the goats. How could you? Eat without us, eh? Everyone turned their heads in the direction of the speaker, that is, shouting, yes. It turned out to be Zabuza. He was standing with his arms crossed over his chest, and Haku was giggling next to him. Suddenly something hard and cold flew into Momochi's nose, this something turned out to be Fr ice. And Haku caught him, shinobi still, XD, sighing heavily. Zabuza sat down next to Naruto. Gato will be here soon, and what the hell, Databane, he has to come here, huh? Kitsune flared up. Although, I guess. Uzumaki moved away and, Kage Bunshin, but Jutsu, the clone scattered and started, building a bridge. 2 hours later Naruko, breathing heavily, trudged to the rest of the team. Phew, finished, Databane, how she knew how to build bridges remained a mystery to the others. Uchiha was drooling again at the sight of Naruko. Imagine, a heavily breathing blonde with disheveled hair, in a top and shorts and in high shinobi sandals. Perspiration appeared on her forehead. After all, the fatigue of the clones passed to her. All. From 40 clones. 1. Everyone is in shock too. Sakura alone with her second self. 3. Zabuza and Haku is laughing. 4. Naruto is grinning strangely again. 5. Kakashi has reached an interesting place in the book. 6. Sasuke is trying to hold back the blood from his nose. Guys, are you feeling bad, Databane? No, they all answered synchronously at once, with the same hesitations, etc. Okay, who knows how to deal with hair? Not me, all together again, even our perfect Sasuke can't. She slowly approached the brunette and leaned over and whispered, "Your Itachi is helping, my hair is better." She sniffed resentfully. Okay, hiding all emotions inside, our brick approached Uzumaki. She handed him the comb and began to untangle her hair. Uchiha first combed his long hair. They were really very soft, although Sasuke considered his Anika's molos to be the softest. To our Kitsune, divided the hair into 3 thick parts and began to weave a braid. After 5 minutes the Uchiha hairstyle was finished. Although Naruko could braid her own hair, for some reason she wanted Sasuke to braid it. And the blonde does not deny herself anything. Now you're my hairdresser. She smiled, while Sakura was bursting with indignation. So our heroes are sitting guards, quietly, chatting, not touching anyone, and then bam. From the direction of the forest, a small detachment arrived to them, led by some low man in black glasses. It turned out to be Gato and his henchmen. Gato turned to the bridge and froze, not noticing the lurking shinobi. Cowards! The bridge is still completed, they couldn't stop some pathetic team. Smash everything! He started waving his arms furiously. And who will give you, Shorty-chan, Databane? Did I try in vain or something? Naruko jumped out again. Gato looked in her direction and didn't care. All his strongest troops, in his opinion, were fainting, vegetables rotted, and they were also tied up. Uzumaki slowly began to approach Gato. He tried to keep a straight face, really tried. But he's a very bad actor. Damn, Dobe, you're always dealing with everyone yourself, Sasuke said. Hey, not so fast, I also want to try out my technique. Databeo, shouted Naruto. What other technique? Just created, the blonde grinned. It will work. He looked at Naruko. Okay, go ahead. Naruto folded the seal, and shouted Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A bunch of clones appeared, they surrounded Gato, but did not attack him. Boiroku no Jutsu, unnoticed by everyone. He looked at Naruko and grinned at that strange bald spot that had stuck to him. Suddenly, a haze enveloped the clones. After it dissipated, the clones turned into... Oh my god! Intuvu hooch naked Naruko. Gato died of nosebleed loss, yeah. Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku fell from a tree and passed out. Blood was flowing from their nose. Sakura started gnawing on a sakura branch. Sasuke just quietly left with red cheeks. And the real Naruko blushed and shouted, "Hey, dispel it." Quickly, she ran to the real Naruto, hidden in the henge, and slapped him with such a juicy slap that the poor Uzumaki's head began to wobble. The henge was dispelled. Despite everything, he grinned with a swollen face, for which he received a slap on the lips. So that's why you were grinning so nastily. You miserable pervert. She blushed and kicked everyone, so, for prevention, they're out anyway. I walked up to Sakura, who was still gnawing on Sakura. Hey, aren't you choking? 0 reactions. Chuckling, she approached Sasuke. My hair is disheveled, braided, Laadno. After some very embarrassing incident, Team Number 7 handed over Gato and his men for questioning. They said goodbye to Zabuza and Haku, taking an oath from those that they would be visited. Now they were saying goodbye to Tazuna. The mission was completed. They went beyond the village where the bridge builder lived. Everyone was silent, and if Kakashi didn't care, the others were confused. And Sakura didn't even stick to Sasuke, who was going, "Allah, I'm a brick." Naruko glanced sideways at Naruto, who was walking all in bruises and abrasions already in the village. Residents, the door to the Hokage's office came out of its hinges with a loud ringing and fell. Naruko, Sasuke, Kakashi, Sakura, and another Naruko entered the room. "Stop. What's that?" "Henge?" Hiruzen asked. "Neither hello, nor goodbye, you yourself are a henge." "I am a man, Databeo," Naruto said. "In my fic, Naruko says Databane, and Naruto says Databeo, so you don't get confused, old man, this is my one," she highlighted the last, "brother. It seemed that if you say the word to her, she will turn you into a cutlet." Hokage was interrupted. "Come on, write him a date, etc. Tomorrow I'll come, if I don't see him, I'll kill him," she threatened the Hokage. Sasuke silently admired her, Sakura silently killed her in her thoughts, Kakashi silently sighed, and Sarutobi was silently scared. Naruko and Naruto disappeared into the smoke. The rest said goodbye to the Hokage normally and went home. "Sasuke-kun, let's go have lunch." Sakura started her hurdy-gurdy, "Haruno, fuck off, huh?" And the heartbreaker left. Meanwhile, Naruko poured tea, set the table and began to interrogate Naruto. "How did you survive there?" "Well," he scratched his head, "at first I was sheltered by an elderly woman, I lived with her until I was 8, and then she died," he swallowed, "and the house was robbed, I got out of there, all in tears. Still, I loved her, even though she was not my native. On this day, I met with Kyubi, and with Mom and Dad. They told me about you. In general, I started training under the supervision of Kurama. I fell asleep in a clearing, and woke up in the house, where I met Haku and Zabuza. They trained me too. They knew about you, too, and they told me. But I didn't think we were so similar," Naruko said thoughtfully. "Hey, it's not fair. I told you everything, and you?" He sniffed resentfully. "Well, okay," Kitsune surrendered. "I entered the ANBU from an early age, killed people, they even gave me a nickname for quiet murders, the Bloody Fox, and why a fox? Kurama, and that too, well, I had a fox mask. So, after meeting my mom, I left the ANBU and after 2 months I found you, here, and who saved the Uchi, you little brat. Kurama has already told you everything, Databane, quiet. Calm down, Databeo. Heh, you're so easily scared, Ototo, pf. You'll scare anyone, Ain-chan," they both laughed merrily. Naruko took her Ototo to his room, which she had allocated for him in advance. The room was decorated in orange and dark colors. In the corner there was a brown wardrobe, next to a table with lockers for kunai, scrolls, etc. There was a single bed by the window. The curtains were red in color, as well as a fluffy rug was laid on the floor. "I have everything there in a modern way." Naruto opened the closet and gaped. There were clothes in the closet. His size. His favorite colors. Even the shoes are suitable. I'm not talking about underwear. Where are you from? Oh, you mean the clothes? This is me on. Sasuke measured, seeing Naruto's vulgar forehead, she quickly corrected herself. I mean, I gave him clothes and he measured everything himself. Pervert. She slapped Tom. Where did you learn this? Well, how can I tell her that he accidentally read a book by some Jiraiya? That's the end of it.